All right, we got that going. All right, welcome to the evening Chaitanya Bhagwat class. Chaitanya Bhagwat is written by Vrindavan Das Thakur. And it deals with a lot of the pastimes of Krishna's, of Lord Chaitanya's early activities, and some after he took sannyas. Today we're going to read about him taking sannyas, which is the last chapter in the Madhya Lila of the Chaitanya Bhagwat. Okay, on that happy note, we will sing Shri Radhika Stava. How about that? Ready? Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Jaya. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Jaya. Kulataruni Mandala Mahi Jaya. Taruni Mandala Mai Jai. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Jaya. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Jaya. Varnana Veshe Adinis Kuta Vrinda Vipi Veshe Damodara Rati Varnana Veshe Adinis Kuta Vrinda Vipi Veshe Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Jaya. Vrishabhanudhari Navashashileke Landita Sati Guna Ramita Vishake. Vrishabhanudhari Navashashileke Landita Sati Guna Ramita Vishake. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Jaya. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Jaya. Korunam Guru Mai Koruna Bhante Sanatana Varnita Charite. Mai Karuna Bhante Sanatana Varnita Charite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Jaya. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Jaya. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mai Jaya. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mai Jaya. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Namaho Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vinata Sammaniti Namaste Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacha Shunyavani Asyacha Desatane Jaya Sri Krishna Jai Ramanityananda Jiyadvaita Gadana Siva Sari Gauravata Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jai Namo Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parvacharya. Also Teta Satashi Shimad, His Divine Grace Savaya, Chalanada Bhaktivedanta Goswami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Anandakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya, Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna, Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath Sayamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Ki Jai, Mathuram Ki Jai, Jagannath Swami Ki Jai, Yamunamai Ki Jai, Shrimati Lasi Devi Ki Jai, Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Dejatarni. Let's read the translation to this nice song, Shri Radhika Stava. O Radha, all glories unto you, beloved of Madhava, object of worship for all the young girls of Gokula. You dress yourself in such a way as to increase Lord Damodar's love and attachment for you. You are the controller of Vrindavan, the pleasure groves of Lord Hari. You are a new moon arisen from the ocean of Kirtida and Vrishabhanu. You are the friend of Lalita, and your wonderful qualities, friendliness, kindness, and faithfulness to Krishna, endear you to Vishaka. You are an ocean of compassion, and your divine characteristics are described by the four Kumaras, Sanaka, Sanatan, Sananda, and Sanat Kumar. O Radha, please be merciful to me. And this song, of course, is written by Srila Rupa Goswami. Srila Rupa Goswami Ki Jai. So now we will proceed with the last chapter in the Majja Khanda of the Chaitanya Bhagavat, which deals with Lord Chaitanya's taking sannyas and the devotees, especially Mother Sachi's intense mood of suffering, seeing her son leave the home. Okay, so Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaur Bhaktivinoda, Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaur Bhaktivinoda, Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaur Bhaktivinoda. And we will share the screen. There we go, chapter 28. All right. And we just, whoops, it's a little big. I gotta size it so I can still see the side of the screen. Okay, there we go. Okay, we're not going to read the chapter summary, and we actually never read the chapter summary, at least in these classes. So text 1. All glories to Shri Gauranga, the Lord of Vishnu Priya. Please bestow your auspicious glance on the living entities. In this way, Sri Vishwambar continuously passed his time in the ecstasy of Sankirtan. No one could understand the activities of the Supreme Lord, who is the fully independent Lord of all. The Lord always enjoyed transcendental happiness while performing Sankirtan with his devotees. All the devotees were so overwhelmed in transcendental ecstasy that they forgot that the Lord was going to leave. So in the previous chapter, of course, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told them he was going to take sannyas, and the external cause that really stimulated his wanting to take sannyas was that one of the students was not only criticized, but he was chastising Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, of course, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was chanting the names of the gopis. He was going gopi, gopi, and the students said, you should chant Krishna. Don't chant the names of the gopis. And Lord Chaitanya got so angry, he started running after the student in a great angry mood. And the student ran away very fast. The student went to the other students, and they all began to criticize Lord Chaitanya. And then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thought, this is running counter to my mission. My mission is to save all the conditioned souls, and now, because they're all criticizing me, they're going to go to hell instead of them being saved. So the only way they're going to respect me is by following the normal cultural way of getting respect in India, which is to take sannyas. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became determined to take sannyas, and that's the exoteric reason for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taking sannyas. The esoteric reason is to experience the deep mood of intense absorption in the feelings of separation from Krishna, as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu manifested the mood of Srimati Radharani. The devotees enjoy pastimes with the Supreme Lord, whom the Vedas personified desired to see. On the day that the Lord was going to leave home to take sannyas, he privately spoke to Nityananda. O Nityananda Swarup, please listen. You should tell only 5 persons what I'm about to say. On the coming Makara Sankranti, January 14th or 15th, I will certainly leave home and take sannyas, because each year it's a little bit different, depending on the moon cycle, and that's described by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in his commentary. There's a village named Katwa near Indrani. At that place lives the pure soul, Keshava Bharati. I will certainly take sannyas from him. The 5 persons you may tell are my mother, Gadadhar, Brahmananda Bharati, Shri Chandrasekharacharya, and Mukunda. Thereafter, Nityananda Prabhu told those 5 persons about the Lord's coming departure. The Lord passed that day joyfully engaged in Sankirtana along with the Vaishnavas. After happily taking his noon meal, The Lord went to see the Ganges in the evening. He offered obeisances to the Ganges, sat on the bank for some time, and then returned home. Sri Gaurasundar then sat at home, surrounded by his followers. No one knew that the Lord would leave home that day. Therefore, everyone happily enjoyed his company. The lotus-eyed Lord sat there with his limbs decorated with a beautiful flower garland and scented sandalwood pulp. Every Vaishnava who came to see him brought along sandalwood pulp and a flower garland. The Lord attracted so many people that no one knew where they had all come from. Even Lord Brahma was unable to count the number of persons who came to see the Lord. Everyone who came offered obeisances by falling down flat. They then gazed continuously at the Lord's beautiful face. The Lord then gave each of them a garland from his neck and instructed them, "Sing the glories of Krishna." Glorify Krishna, worship Krishna, and chant the name of Krishna. Do not think of anything other than Krishna. If you have any affection for me, then don't speak about any topics other than Krishna. Whether you are sleeping, eating, or waking, day and night, think of Krishna and chant his name. In this way, of course, as we know, that's the first regulated principle, to always think of Krishna. And the second regulated principle is never forget Krishna. In this way, the Lord cast his merciful glance on everyone who came, and after instructing them, he said, "Now go home." In this way, many people came and went. They floated in such ecstasy that they did not recognize one another. The beautiful body of the Lord, decorated with sandalwood pulp and flower garlands, could not be compared to the insignificant beauty of the full moon. After receiving the Lord's mercy, all the people became ecstatic and left loudly chanting, "Huri! Huri!" At that time, the pious Sridhara came there with a bottle gourd in his hand. Seeing the bottle gourd, Sri Gaurasundara asked him, "Where did you get that?" The Lord, however, thought, "Tomorrow I will leave, therefore I will not be able to eat this. Yet whatever is brought by Sridhar cannot be wasted, so I must eat it today." Thinking like this, to maintain his affection for his devotees, he requested his mother to cook the bottle gourd. It's like a pumpkin, a little bit different. At that time, one fortunate person came and offered a pot of milk. The Lord smiled and told his mother, "This is very nice, please cook these together." Mother Sachi immediately went to cook in great satisfaction. In this way, the son of Sachi is so affectionate to his devotees. The Lord of Vaikuntha thus happily passed the evening in great ecstasy. After seeing everyone off, Lord Vishwambara, the Lord of Tridasa, sat down to take his dinner. When he finished eating, Lord Gauranga washed his mouth and went to his bedroom. There he rested under the influence of yoga, nidra, or mystic sleep, while Gadadhar and Haridas slept nearby. Knowing that the Lord would depart, Mother Sachi was unable to sleep and remained awake, weeping. The Lord woke for leaving during the Brahma Muhurta. That's like an hour and a half before sunrise. He understood that the auspicious time for his departure had come by observing the passage of air through his nose. Gadadhar and Haridas also woke, and Gadadhar told the Lord, "I will accompany you." The Lord, however, replied, "I am fully independent, one without a second. This is my pastime." When Mother Sachi realized it was time for the Lord to depart, she came and sat in the doorway. Seeing his mother, the Lord held her hands and solaced her in various ways. "You have maintained me very nicely. Because of you, I have studied and learned. Without caring a bit for your personal happiness, you have increased my pleasure throughout my life. The amount of affection you have shown me at every moment is more than I can repay in millions of kalpas. Only by your mercy will I be relieved of my debt. Yet I will remain indebted to you life after life. Please listen, dear mother. This entire creation is under the control of the Supreme Lord. No one has the power to be independent. Who can understand the Supreme Lord's will, by which the living entities sometimes meet and sometimes separate? Whether I leave now or after 10 days, you should not lament. I take full responsibility for both your worldly and spiritual needs." Placing his hand on Mother Sachi's chest, the Lord repeatedly solaced her, saying, "I will take full care of you." Mother Sachi quietly listened to what the Lord said. She made no reply, but simply shed incessant tears. Thus Sachi, the mother of the universe, became as grave and quiet as Mother Earth. Who can understand the inconceivable pastimes of Krishna? The Lord then took the dust of his mother's feet on his head, and after circumambulating her, he immediately departed. The Lord, who is the hero of Vaikuntha, thus left home to take sannyas for the deliverance of the fallen souls. Oh, brothers, listen to the story of the Lord's acceptance of sannyas. By hearing this narration, all one's material bondage will be destroyed. So this is very good. All your material bondage is going to be destroyed if you listen to this. When the Lord left the Universal Mother, Sachi became almost inert and unable to speak. When the devotees took their morning bath, they were unaware of the Lord's departure. When they went to offer obeisances to the Lord, they found Mother Sachi sitting outside the doorway. The magnanimous Srivas was the first to inquire, "Oh, Mother, why are you sitting in the doorway?" Mother Sachi was almost inert. She was unable to reply except for the incessant flow of tears from her eyes. After some time she said, "Please listen, all of you. The Vaishnavas are eligible to share the Lord's property. You may all distribute the items he has left among yourselves. The Shastras declare that those items belong to you. So be satisfied, do as you please, and let me go from here." So, of course, the remnants of the Lord and the remnants of the Lord's pure devotees are purified, and one can utilize those remnants, except one should not utilize the shoes, socks of the pure devotee or the sitting place of the pure devotee. We can worship those items, but we should not use them for ourselves. But everything else, like if you have a sweater that a pure devotee used, or a hat, or what they call chadar, you can use those things. Or a watch, like we were discussing this morning, how Prabhupada would always give away his watches when someone gave him a new watch. And sometimes Prabhupada would exchange his Rolex watch for a new Timex, because Prabhupada was very detached. On hearing about the Lord's departure, all the devotees immediately fell unconscious to the ground. What lamentation the Vaishnavas felt. They all began to cry loudly in distress. Placing their arms around one another's neck, they all lamented in various ways. They cried out, "Oh, Gopinath, what a terrible night we have passed," as they held their heads and wept. How will we live without seeing that moon-like face? What is the use of this sinful life? Why has this thunderbolt suddenly struck? Speaking in this way, some of them rolled on the ground and some of them beat their chests. The Lord's house resounded with the devotees' uncontrolled weeping. All the devotees that came to see the Lord were drowning in an ocean of separation. The devotees incessantly wept and fell to the ground, exclaiming, "The Lord has left us to take sannyas. The Lord of the forlorn has left and thrown us in an ocean of lamentation." All the devotees cried and fell unconscious. They loudly exclaimed, "Hori, Hori, what is the use of our wealth, our families, or even our lives when the Lord has left?" As they held their heads and beat their chests, they exclaimed, "O Hari, O Lord Vishwambara, you have left to take sannyas without telling us." The devotees were covered with dust, and they cried. As the devotees fell to the ground in the Lord's courtyard, Mukunda, Murari, Shridhara, Gadadhar, Gangadas, Srivas and his family, Chandrasekhar and Haridas all continuously cried. Hearing the crying of the devotees, the people of Nadia rushed to see what had happened. When they did not see the Lord's face, they were also stricken with grief and began to cry while holding their heads, both young and old, man and woman. All the devotees who came from the town cried incessantly. The atheists, however, laughed and said, "Now we'll not see Nimai again." In other words, they were very happy they weren't going to see Nimai. Great rascals. After some time, the devotees became somewhat pacified and sat around Mother Sachi. Meanwhile, news came that the crest jewel of the Brahmanas had left to take sannyas soon. spread the news that the crushed jewel the Brahmanas had left to take sannyas soon spread throughout Navadvip. On hearing this news, people were struck with wonder and went to the Lord's house. When they saw that the Lord's house was empty, they also began to cry. Even the offenders and atheists became aggrieved while hearing the people lament. We are very sinful, therefore we could not recognize him. As they repented in this way, they also began to cry. The people of the town cried and rolled on the ground, lamenting, "We will not see his moon-like face again." So, in other words, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's strategy for taking sannyas, that is, to get everyone to respect him, was working even before he took sannyas. So, the statement, "we will not see his moon-like face again," indicates that when one takes sannyas, one should not go back to his village, because there's natural attachment that will draw one into the illusory energy. Someone said, "Let us burn our homes and leave this place. We can become mendicant yogis and accept the sign of a mendicant by wearing an ivory earring. When the Lord has left Navadvip, why should we continue living?" In this way, all the men and women of Nadia simply lamented. They could not think of anything else. The independent Lord, however, knew when and how to deliver the fallen and its living entities. Those who were filled with offenses and envy were also bitten by the snake of the Lord's separation. All glories to the merciful Lord Gaurasundara, the Lord of all. He expertly delivered everyone. Please listen to this description of the Lord's acceptance of sannyas. Hearing this narration will destroy one's bondage resulting from fruitive activities. After crossing the Ganges, Sri Gauranga arrived that day at Kandaka Nagara Katwa. As instructed previously by the Lord Nityananda Prabhu, Gadadhar Mukunda, Chandrasekhara Acharya, and Brahmananda Bharati, each gradually arrived there. Along with his intimate associates, the Lord, like a maddened lion, arrived there to meet Keshava Bharati. Upon seeing the Lord's wonderful bodily effulgence, the pious Keshava Bharati stood up. The Lord fell flat, offering obeisances. Then, with folded hands, he offered prayers. "O Master, please be merciful to me. You are the most compassionate deliverer of the fallen. Lord Krishna always sits in your heart, and therefore you are qualified to give me Krishna, life and soul. I have no desire other than the service of Krishna. Please instruct me accordingly." The Lord's body seemed to float in waves of ecstatic love. The Lord then began to dance and cry out loudly. Mukunda and the other devotees began to sing as the son of Shachi danced in his own ecstatic mood. Millions and millions of people gathered there. No one knew where they were from. With unblinking eyes, they all continuously drank the exquisite beauty of the Lord's form. The indescribable, wonderful flow of tears from the Lord's eyes could not be described even by Lord Ananta. As the Lord danced in a circle, his tears bathed everyone gathered around him. Thus soaked in the waters of the love of God, everyone, man and woman, young and old, all chanted, "Huri Hari." One moment the Lord shivered, another moment he perspired, and the next moment he fell unconscious. All the people there became frightened on seeing the Lord fall to the ground. Then the Lord of unlimited universes, in the mood of his own servant, took a straw between his teeth and begged everyone for the service of Lord Krishna. On seeing the Lord's humility and on hearing that he was about to take sannyas, everyone cried in grief. How will his mother survive? What a terrible night she must have passed. What pious activity has his wife performed to obtain him as her husband, and by what misfortune has she lost him? How will his mother and wife survive, even when even our hearts are broken? In this way the ladies cried in distress. All the living entities fallen in the trap of Sri Chaitanya cried piteously. After some time, Sri Vishwambar controlled himself and sat down surrounded by his associates. Keshava Bharati was absorbed in an ocean of bliss on seeing the devotional sentiments displayed by the Lord. He therefore offered his prayers to the Lord. The devotion that I have seen today with my eyes is not found in anyone other than the Lord himself. I have clearly understood that you are the spiritual master of the entire world. Therefore, no one is qualified to become your guru. Yet I think that to teach people in general, you will accept me as your guru. The Lord said, please do not deceive me. Give me initiation so that I may become a servant of Lord Krishna. Speaking in this way, the Lord passed the night with everyone engaged in the happiness of Krishna Katha. Early the next morning, the Lord of all planets rose and instructed Chandrasekhara. Now, one thing we should understand, that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's spiritual master was Ishwara Puri, and he took sannyas from Keshava Bharati. So the taking of sannyas is more or less a social formality. And Keshava Bharati himself was a member of the Shankara Sampradaya rather than a Vaishnava Sampradaya. But of course, Keshava Bharati was a great devotee, and we're going to hear how before Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took the sannyas mantra, he gave that Vaishnava sannyas mantra to Keshava Bharati. You are qualified in the performance of all Vedic rituals, therefore I appoint you as my representative. On the order of the Lord, Chandrasekhara Acharya began to perform the required Vedic rituals. That is for a sannyas ceremony. The variety of ingredients the people from the surrounding villages brought cannot be described. They brought milk, yogurt, butter, mung dal, dadal, sandalwood, flowers, sacred threads, and cloth. No one knew where the varieties of eatables that poured in came from or who brought them. Everyone who came chanted the holy names in ecstasy. Indeed, the chanting of Hari Hari was the only sound that could be heard. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the life of all, sat down to have his head shaved, including the shikha. So, in other words, when one takes sannyas, at least the tradition, Gaudiya traditions, one gets rid of the Brahman thread and the shikha. So there's some description here. When the barber came to shave the Lord, a tumultuous sound of weeping arose. The barber's name was Madhu. The barber hesitated to shave the Lord's curly hair. Before he even touched the Lord's head, he began to cry. The devotees, headed by Nityananda, all started weeping and rolling on the ground. What to speak of the devotees, even the people in general all began to cry in lamentation. One woman said, "Who has invented this system of sannyas?" Speaking like this, the ladies all sighed deeply. Hidden from view, all the demigods also cried. In this way, the entire universe was filled with the sound of crying. Such compassion was shown by Sri Gaura Sundara, or Chandra, that even dry wood and stone melted. This pastime of the Lord was displayed for the deliverance of the living entities, and everyone's weeping was evidence of this. Why was it delivering the living entities? Because they were feeling so much intense emotion about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That intense emotion purified them. Sri Gaurachandra was greatly agitated by the mellows of ecstatic love. He constantly shed tears, and his body trembled. Vishwambara got up and exclaimed, "Chant, chant!" As Mukunda began to sing, the Lord continuously danced. Even when the Lord sat, he was unable to remain steady. He trembled, and tears flowed from his eyes out of ecstatic love. In this way, the Lord constantly roared, "Hari Bol!" The barber was therefore unable to perform his task. Somehow or other, in the mellows of ecstatic love, the Lord's head was finally shaved by the end of the day. In other words, it took an entire day to shave the Lord's head because he kept moving and manifesting ecstatic symptoms. Thereafter, the Lord of all took his bath in the Ganges and sat for his sannyas ceremony. The Vedas declare that Sri Gaura Chandra is the spiritual master of everyone. The Lord, on some pretext, then spoke something to Keshava Bharati. The Lord said in a dream, "Some Mahajana appeared to me and spoke some sannyas mantra in my ear. Please examine whether it is appropriate or not." Speaking in this way, the Lord spoke the mantra to Keshava Bharati, into Keshava Bharati's ear. So in other words, the Lord was initiating Keshava Bharati into the Vaishnava Sannyas Sampradaya before Keshava Bharati initiated him into the order of sannyas. Thus the Lord, by trickery, made Keshava Bharati his disciple And Keshava Bharati was struck with great wonder. Keshava Bharati said, "This is the best of all mantras. By the mercy of Lord Krishna, what is unknown to you?" According to the instructions of the Lord, the broad-minded Keshava Bharati then spoke that very mantra into the ear of the Lord. The auspicious sound of the holy names was heard in the four directions as the jewel of Vaikuntha accepted the order of sannyas. When the Lord put on the enchanting saffron dress, so here it's describing his dress as saffron, Ahate Haila Koti, the Sundara, beautiful, Cupid, Aruna, yeah, they're like the sun. So, saffron like the sun, shining like the sun. He appeared as beautiful as millions of cupids, as Koti Kandarpa. Sundara means millions of Kandarpas, cupids, beautiful, Sundara. So that's what it means. It says he was wearing saffron. Although traditionally the sannyasis, especially in the Bharti Sampradaya, they would wear white and saffron. Anyway, whatever. His beautiful body and head were decorated with sandalwood pulp and flower garlands. Holding his danda and kamandalu in his hands, the Lord was overwhelmed in ecstatic love. The beautiful face of the Lord was more attractive than millions of moons, and his two eyes were filled with tears of love. That wonderful sannyasi form of the Lord will be elaborately described by Vedavyas, that means in future versions of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Sri Vedavyas has described in his Vishnu Sahasranama that the Lord appears in one of his incarnations as a sannyasi. Now this statement has been fulfilled by the best of the Brahmanas. This secret is well known to the society of Vaishnavas. So here's the quote from the Vishnu Sahasranam. So I'll just read the Sanskrit for it. Sannyasa Krish Chamashanto Nishta Shanti Parayana. That Lord Vishnu accepts sannyas, is detached from sense gratification, is fully surrendered to Krishna, is fully determined to engage in the sacrifice of chanting the holy name of Krishna, and is fully absorbed in Mahabhav, which ridicules the peaceful state attained by the non-devotee and personalists. Important verse, actually. The magnanimous Keshava Bharati then began, hold on a second, plug this in, then began to think of a name to give the Lord. I cannot find such a Vaishnava in the 14 worlds. This is my conviction. Therefore, I will give a name that is not found anywhere. Then my desire will be fulfilled. Although the disciple of a Bharati should be named Bharati, that name is not appropriate for him. So in other words, you stick to a certain sampradaya of sannyas. If you're taking sannyas from a Bharati, then your name is Bharti, Krishna Bharti or something like that. But Lord Chaitanya didn't get a Bharti name. As that fortunate topmost sannyasi was thinking like this, Shuddha Saraswati, the transcendental goddess of learning, appeared on his tongue. Selecting the suitable name, the pure-hearted Keshava Bharati placed his hand on the chest of the Lord and spoke, "You've induced the people of the world to chant the name of Krishna, and by inaugurating the movement of Sankirtan, you have awakened people's consciousness. Therefore, your name will be Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Because of you, everyone will become fortunate." When that best of the sannyasis spoke this, everyone chanted, "Jaya, Jaya," and flowers were showered down on them. The Vaishnavas floated in waves of transcendental happiness as the tumultuous vibration of Hori, Hori filled the four directions. The devotees then offered obeisances to Keshava Bharati, and even the Lord felt satisfaction on receiving his name. In this way, all the devotees fell flat, offering obeisances as the holy name of Sri Krishna Chaitanya manifest. By accepting sannyas, The glorious Lord thus became famous as Sri Krishna Chaitanya Maharaj. Whereas at that time, what's interesting, the sannyasis weren't called Maharaj. They're called Sri Krishna Chaitanya Swami. Because this Maharaj title came about sometime later, and generally Maharaj referred to someone who was a king or in charge of the government, like Ambarish Maharaj, Yudhishthir Maharaj, etc., like that. So somehow or other later, sannyasis started to be called Maharaj, King Maharaj. But actually it should be Swami, Swamiji, Swami, like this. Lord Chaitanya eternally performs his pastimes, which are seen by those who have received his mercy. Only Nityananda Swarup knows all the many other pastimes that took place there. By his merciful instructions, I've written just a brief description in this book. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnavas so that they may disregard my offenses. Millions of Veda Vyasas will elaborately describe these pastimes of the Lord in the Vedas. So, of course, Prabhupada described that Veda Vyas is, or at least the Veda Vyas in our particular cycle after Dwapara to Kali Yuga, is actually a Shaktavesh avatar. And the word Veda, of course, Veda means knowledge. Vyasa means to divide. So just like we understand that the Vedas, the traditional Vedas, used to be one, and then Veda Vyas divided them into the 4 Vedas, and then later on the Upanishads, the Vedanta Sutra, the Itihasa, it means the history, and the Puranas, like, for example, the Srimad Bhagavatam. Thus the Lord's acceptance of sannyas is described in this Madhya Kanda. And whoever hears this pastime will certainly become a servant of Sri Chaitanya. That's a relief. By hearing this pastime of the Lord's acceptance of sannyas in this Madhya Kanda, one will achieve the wealth of Krishna Prema. Thank God. Oh, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Prabhu, my only desire is that I should never forget you. Will that day ever come when I will see Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda surrounded by their devotees? Shri Gora Sundara is the Lord of my Lord. Therefore, this great hope is there in my heart. Whoever says, I am the servant of Nityananda, will certainly attain Lord Chaitanya's darshan. Lord Nityananda is most dear to Sri Chaitanya. May I never become bereft of association with the Lord's servant. Lord Nityananda is the bestower of love to the entire universe. Therefore, let me worship Sri Gaurachandra through him. Of course, Lord Nityananda is the original spiritual master. He is Balaram, Balaram Hoila Natai, Layatva, Balahine Na, Labwa. No one gets the mercy of Krishna without getting the mercy of Balaram. We've discussed this many, many times. Anyone who wants to cross the ocean of birth and death and drown in the ocean of devotional service should worship Lord Nityananda. Lord Gaurachandra is making me speak just as a puppet master makes his puppets dance. A bird cannot reach the end of the sky, but flies only as far as his strength allows. In the same way, there's no end to the topics of Lord Chaitanya. One can narrate them only as far as his strength allows. Accepting Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu as my life and soul, I, Vrindavan Das, sing the glories of their lotus feet. O Sri Chaitanya Chandra, I offer you my repeated obeisances. You are the personification of Krishna's blissful pastimes, and you are extraordinarily beautiful, having a dazzling golden luster. You have awarded to the people of the world the topmost mellows of ecstatic love for Krishna. Thus ends the English translation of the Gaudiya Bhasha commentary on Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya Kanda, chapter 28, entitled The Lord's Pastimes, or Pastime of Accepting Sannyas. End of Majikanda, Sri Shri Gora Nityanandao Jayata Sri Chaitanya Bhagavad. And tomorrow we will start Anchakanda, which starts the first chapter, meeting again at the house of Sri Advaita Acharya. That story is also told in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Anyway, so we will, I guess, end our narration 3 minutes early because we came to the end of the chapter. And now I will unmute you all and or allow you to unmute yourselves. And if you have a question, you can raise your hand and I will call on you. The way you raise your hand, you go to little reaction heart at the bottom and just click on the reaction heart, and there'll be something there that says raise hand. It's pretty easy. Okay, Tulsi, you have a question? Ask now. Unmute yourself.
Okay. So the students of Lord Chaitanya, they didn't know he was the Lord.
No.
But so insofar as and they reacted the way that someone would do if we heard someone like running around singing Gopi Gopi, we would also correct them.
Why would you do that?
Well, I mean, if they were like he was just like in super ecstasy, if someone like came into the temple
I don't
room.
know. If I saw someone chanting Gopi Gopi, yeah, I'd be careful how I would deal with them because they were feeling separation. Just like, sometimes I may say, oh, I don't say Gopi Gopi, but sometimes I may chant Govardhan, Govardhan, Govardhan,
Hmm.
Giridhari, anyway, so.
Well, I don't want to be offensive in criticizing anyone, but
No, I mean,
like Prabhupada said, just kick them.
no, but that's obviously sometimes people will be exhibiting ecstasy. For example, that story of Haridas Thakur, when the snake charmer was chanting this snake mantra, Haridas Thakur, Bhadananta actually, Haridas Thakur started dancing on the ground in ecstasy, and everyone stood to the side and appreciated Haridas Thakur's ecstasy.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was an envious Brahmin there who saw that and thought, I want to get appreciated too. So he imitated Haridas Thakur, and therefore the snake charmer actually beat him and kicked him, and explained to him was imitation. And so, I mean, sometimes there will be genuine ecstasy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would, if someone was chanting Gopi Gopi, I would just ask him why. I wouldn't, I'd say, why don't you chant Krishna? I wouldn't say chastise him. But this devotee, this person didn't have the right etiquette. Mm. Even if he wanted to question Lord Chaitanya, he didn't do it the right way. Mm. Okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Next is Mr. Sumukh.
Dhanut Pranam Gurudev. I have 3 questions. First question is, we know that the Damodar month have just ended, and when we glorify the Damodar Leela, we in the end we say Jai Radha Damodar, Jai Radha Damodar. Then we say Yashoda Jai Yashoda Maiya, Jai Yashoda Maiya. I was stopped by one devotee said, you don't just chant directly Yashoda Maiya, but you say Yashoda Nandan, Jai Yashoda Nandan, Jai Yashoda Nandan. You must put Krishna's name together.
No, it's all right to say Jai. I mean, sometimes people say Jai Radhe, don't they?
Yes, they do that.
So if you could say Jai Radhe, you could certainly say. Actually, in the song by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, "The Holy Place of Vrindavan," you actually chant the names of Krishna's different associates without putting Krishna's name there, isn't it?
Yes. Understood.
Yeah. You actually, Jaya Nanda Yashoda Jaya Nandagan. So it's all right. I mean, I've never heard of saying Jaya Yashoda Mai at the end of the Dhammadrashtika, but there's nothing wrong with it.
Okay. Next question is in the text 101. It says when you hear this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taking the sannyas from Keshavarti Maharaj, it says that it takes 101 says destroys when you listen to these pastimes, it destroys one's result of fruitive activities.
That's right.
Yeah. And in Bhagavad Gita 7:20 it says esham tu anta gatam papam jnana punya karmanam. It means
Moha Nirmukta Bhajanti Mam Jaravrata.
Yeah. Persons who have acted piously in punya in previous life and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. So here it says that you must be pious person, do some punya. Then
Yeah, that's a previous age, but we have Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Also, Krishna says in the seventh chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Bahunam Janmanamante Gyanavamam Prapajate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahamudurlabha. After many, many births, one who's actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me is everything. So, Krishna is speaking in the Dwarpa Yuga, not in the Kali Yuga. And Krishna is speaking before he advented himself as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And in the Kali Yuga, you have the special dispensation that you simply have to chant Krishna's names and worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that takes care of everything. We don't have to wait for many, many births, or, Yesham Twandagatam Papam Jnananam Punya Karmanam. We should come to an end of sinful activities, Antagatam, and engage in spiritual activities. But there's no prerequisite. Okay?
Okay. The third question is third question.
Yeah.
Third question, Gurudev, is you said that in here written there it was that Lord Chaitanya took sannyas because of two reasons. One was because of Naudi people were not respecting him, and he took the sannyas. The second one is want to experience the mood of separation from the gopis of Krishna. That he took it. So that's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What about the sannyas in this Kali Yuga? What are the prerequisites for that? Same?
Prerequisite for sannyas is to be free of sex desire and dedicated to the service of Krishna, and free of fear. What is that verse from the Bhagavad Gita? Anyways, the verse from the Bhagavad Gita. Anyway, I forget the verse from the Bhagavad Gita right now. That when one cultivates knowledge, one becomes free of fear. Abhaya sattva samshuddhi jnana yoga vavastitihi. That's the verse. So that is a quality of a sannyasi. You have to be free of fear, fearless, and dedicated to Krishna. Ham Karishami Duranta Parayar. One has to accept Krishna's lotus feet and the preaching of Krishna consciousness. And actually, in Kali Yuga, sannyas is forbidden. So the only reason for sannyas is to preach Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, one should remain in his happy home, like you are.
Jai.
Your happy, happy home. Okay.
Thank you.
Let someone else add. So finally, we have Rasa Shekhara was a question. So you can unmute yourself.
Sure. Hare Krishna Gurudev, please accept my humble obeisances. My question is about around one of the last verses from this Madhyakanda Gurudev is about millions of Veda Vyasas. So do we have millions of Veda Vyasas, or it is because divide different Vedas? It was said like that.
No, millions of Veda Vyasas means time is unlimited. So in each age, or at least each Dwarpa Yuga, there'll be a Veda Vyas.
Okay.
You understand? It's not that they're all just hanging around Veda Vyasas.
Okay.
Right now, well, where are they all? But there's a Veda Vyasas. They're dividing the Vedas, because in Kali Yuga before Kali Yuga, there's only one Veda. And then later Rig, Sama, Yajur, and Atharva Veda. And then, of course, then the Itihasa Purananam, Panchama Veda, Vidyate. How's that sound? Okay?
Oh, okay. Thank you, Gurudev.
Here's a question in the chat window. Let's see. Here's my... We use gifts given by the pure devotees, gurus, while they are present on this earth. Once they leave, we worship the gifts, tadiya, by keeping them on the altar. Generally, yeah, I mean, obviously, if I had gotten a sweater from Prabhupada, I wouldn't be running around with it. I mean, there's not an injunction like that, but generally, that would be the right consciousness to have. That's true. Obviously, that's true. That when the guru leaves, I mean, obviously, if I had Prabhupada's chadar, or if I had Prabhupada, well, socks I would never use, or if I had Prabhupada's neck beads or Prabhupada's watch or something like that, then I would certainly put it in a glass case and at least put it on display, if not on the altar. Okay. Good question. And so, okay, Rasa Shekhara, you have another question? Your hand is still...
No, Gurudev, it was my previous hand. Sorry, I will lower it.
Okay, previous hand. Okay, lower it. Okay, does anyone else have any questions? Oh. All right. This is Vishwanath. When devotees are supposed to be fearless, how is that practically exhibited? Sometimes, or maybe fearless, sometimes maybe fearless, but for cooperation, may not be able to speak the truth. How does that go? Fearless means not having any concern for oneself, but also being strategic. In the Bhagavad Gita, the austerities of speech are listed as what? Sacha Priya Hitam, which is interesting. Sacha means truthfulness, pleasing, Priya, Hitam, beneficial. Of course, regularly reciting the Vedic literatures, the austerities of speech. So one has to consider these things, not in light of protecting one's own false ego or body, but in light of one's strategy, mission-oriented. And certainly Srila Prabhupada did that. He wasn't afraid of anything. Wasn't afraid of... I mean, I was just reading today the final portion of Giriraj Maharaj's book on the temple. Let me build you a temple or something like that. I think that was the name of the book. And just hearing how fearless Prabhupada was going to the Mahakumbha Mela, in spite of being such bad health, he could hardly move. And in the cold, extreme cold, without any proper protection, without any warm water, without any sort of facilities, Prabhupada just like preaching Krishna consciousness, complete lack of concern. I mean, of course, Prabhupada did take care of his body whenever possible. I mean, he had his massages every day, he had his medicine, he had diet, a specific diet. But at the same time, Prabhupada didn't let any of that interfere with his preaching. But fearless doesn't mean offending others. Fearless means being strategic. Whatever is best for bringing people to Krishna consciousness. Utility is the principle. That's the point. Preaching is the essence, purity is the force, utility is the principle, and books are the basis. Okay, time to end now. Thank you all very much for joining us. We'll see everybody tomorrow evening. All glories to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Srila Prabhupada